If I were to use one word to describe the entirety of this film, it wouldn't actually be the word kindness or goodwill. It would actually be the word choices. Every single person in this film made a choice. The truth is, this film is all based on real life experiences I personally went through. Moments in my life that left an impact, an impression on me. See, because the choices that we make in our life don't only dictate the lives that we lead, they also dictate the lives of those who choose to follow us. So who were these people? Why did their choices matter on that very day? Well, let's take a look here. Who is this woman? Why did it matter to her that this younger girl come over to her and give her flowers on that day? Who is she? What's her backstory? The truth is, she was a teacher and she dedicated her entire life to her students. She loved kids and she couldn't wait to be a mother of her own. But she dedicated her life to the job. She was a yes person, always saying yes to everything. And because of that, she put her own life on hold. Never had the time to build that up herself. Just so happens that only a few years prior to this, she finally found the love of her life, and her husband proposed to her that exact restaurant and gave to her a charm bracelet with 3 charms, one for every child that they hoped and planned to have. But turns out she got married late in life, and she wasn't able to have children. And there she is, on that very day, a year after her husband passed, with that same exact charm bracelet, and all of those charms still intact. And she sees another woman, perhaps a grandmother surrounded by her grandkids, and suddenly there's this pang of loneliness that she never felt before in her life. But a young girl spots her. Perhaps that girl saw something in this woman. It's a piece of her. She didn't just hand her a bouquet of flowers. She handed her hope, as if to say to her, I see you. See, because when a person is at their lowest, like this woman, they're also at their highest potential. Their highest potential to choose good, or perhaps their highest potential to choose bad, to hurt themselves, perhaps, to hurt others. And the choices that we make to engage matter. The reason that this story resonates so much with me is because I also made a choice in my life. Back when I was 15 years old, I went through a very rough time. The very beginning of my sophomore year of high school, my house burnt down. And overnight, everything was gone. It wasn't just the house burning down. It was one of those years where, when everything just seems to be going wrong, and when you think, oh, it can't get worse, and it gets worse. My dad had lost his business, and one thing after the next, after the next. It was 6 years that my family and I were moving around until we all lived under the same roof. But that first year was the hardest. It does something to you. I can't explain it when you see your parents cry, when you see your parents break down. And so I had to hide my feelings and emotions from them. My friends, they didn't know what to say to me. So I had to hide my feelings and emotions from them as well. But you can't do that for very long. And one night, went to sleep, and I sort of just didn't wake up the next morning. What do I mean by that? I fell into a really dark depression. When I say dark, I'm talking about suicidal dark. I didn't believe that there was any more reason for me to be here. It wasn't just the fire. I was home for a couple of months from school. Now, I was a very shy kid. I would definitely not be standing in front of this many people speaking. But I always loved people with all my heart. And whether I knew you or I didn't know you, if you were absent from school, I was copying notes from you and bringing it to you the next day. I was home from school for several months. Not one person called, guys. Not one person came to visit to see if I was okay. And it made me feel like if I wasn't here tomorrow, would it matter to anybody? Would it even make a difference? I didn't believe that I deserved to be here. It's a scary feeling when you look back and remember being 15 standing on the fire escape of your grandparents' 7th floor apartment and debating whether it's just worth it to end everything. Why continue? There was one not so special morning. I woke up and after a few months, was forced to go back to school, but I wasn't the same kid. I was that kid in the corner, dressed all in black. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to smile about anything. And one morning, I woke up, and as I was getting ready to go to school, I was looking at myself in the mirror, but I was really looking at myself in the mirror, and the scariest thing happened. I didn't see me. I didn't see that 4-year-old kid that dreamed of changing the world looking back at me. It was like someone stole her. That scared me more than anything, and I made a promise to myself back then. I made a choice. It was a promise that led me to my years teaching, a promise that led me to the work that I do with Life Vest Inside to spread kindness, and it's a promise that's going to lead me to whatever is next that I don't even know about yet. A promise to be there for people the way I wished somebody would have been there for me. But more than that, to see people the way I wish somebody would have seen me. Because that's really what we want. When a person is at their lowest, they're at their highest potential. I can tell you, nobody would have blamed me had I decided to go in a completely different path. But that promise, that choice is what saved me. It allowed me to grow into myself, and perhaps it gave me the capacity to be able to empathize, to be able to spot people when they're also at their lowest, when they can go one way or the other. And that choice for us to engage, to smile perhaps, to give a kind word can make all the difference. Back when the film went viral, people were reaching out from all over the place. I love connecting to people. This is what I love doing. And one person that I was engaging with on social media, we finally decided we're going to have a Skype call. And so we get onto Skype. I could tell he was going through a lot of hardship. I didn't know what it was, but I felt something was up. And I said to him, okay, turn on your video. I want to see your face. I want to see who you are. He said to me, Orly, I promise you, if you knew the terrible things that I did, the acts of terror that I committed, I promise you would not want to talk to me. You wouldn't even want to see me. You wouldn't want to know anything about me. I said to him, don't you understand that your mistakes aren't you? You have the power to rewrite your future. You can make that choice right now. And finally, he had the courage to turn on his video, and we started connecting, and he started crying, and I started crying, and he said to me, Orly, do you know that in my country, if they knew I was talking to you, a Jew, they would kill me? I said, but please, I beg you, don't stop what you're doing. You have no idea the impact and the influence that you're having on me and the impact that I'm having on my family. I said, in my country, they throw a gun into my hand and they're telling me to shoot, to kill, to shoot. And I just don't want to shoot anymore. You make me believe that I can become something more than what they tell me I can be. Guys, when a person is at their lowest, they're at their highest potential. Who knows what would have happened had I not got onto that call? I don't know. But I do know all the good that came about because I did take the time to engage. See, when a person is low on hope, when they feel isolated, when they feel like they don't matter, they can become a detriment. It's not just to themselves, but to others. Whether that means that they decide to commit suicide or grab a rifle and run into a school and start shooting up the place, or strap on a vest and decide to take their life and the life of others because they don't matter. Therefore, what do their choices matter? Why should their choice matter if they themselves don't matter? But imagine if we can empower a person to realize that the choice is theirs to make. How much we can create impact. I'm going to make a little bit of a crazy analogy here, because you have to understand the work that I do through Life Vest Inside, it's all about just seeing people, connecting to people, reminding them of their value so they remember the value of others. But I got to tell you that Life Vest Inside, the work of Life Vest Inside, we're doing the exact same thing as some of the greatest terrorist organizations in the world. Let's take ISIS, for example. There's so much in common between ISIS and Life Vest Inside. So I know some of you are like, okay, how in the world is an organization geared towards spreading kindness connected in any which way to ISIS? We're actually utilizing the same exact methodology. Crazy. because they understand this concept that when a person is at their lowest, they are at their greatest potential to go one way or to go the other. And they utilize that. They exploit it. You know, there was a Times article that said it takes an ISIS operative 100 social media hours, guys, 100 social media hours to flip someone. Do you think this happens in a second? Say, oh, okay, here you are, a person that's really low on hope. You know, here's a gun, let's go out there. No, it doesn't happen that way. They bring them in. Become part of something bigger than yourself. We see you. You matter. We know why you're angry. We're going to give you someone to point your finger at. Join us. That empowerment is coming, though, from the negative, because what happens before a person knows it, their ability to choose is stripped from them. It's taken. With what we do, we're empowering people by giving them their choices back. You make that choice, and you choose it every single day, at every single moment. Wow, the impact that can happen. Because the greatest terrorism that we're facing in today's world is not one fought on the battlegrounds, guys, with guns. It's in the cloud. So just imagine if we can actually spot those people that are on the edge, that are at their lowest, yet at their highest potential. You know, when the video went viral, I was getting comments like crazy. I didn't have a website. All I had was my YouTube channel. And it was my favorite thing to do, just connecting with people, talking to people from all over the world. One of my favorite things was waking up first thing in the morning. The first thing I did was open up my YouTube channel and read the comments that came in overnight. My philosophy is no comment gets left behind, whether it was a mean comment or a smiley face or whatever it was. And as I woke up one morning and I opened up my comments, I read a comment that made me stop in my tracks. And it was from a user, and he wrote as follows. He said, if I died today, it wouldn't matter because I'm just one of the 7 billion people on this earth. I used to actually care about people, but I don't know, because the older I get, the more I realize what the world is like. It's a world of selfish people. No one can trust anyone outside their family and friends. It's funny how, as a kid, I thought the world was such a great place because you assume everyone is like you and has morals. It's not true, though. I popped out of my bed, opened my computer, and right away made a video for him. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know what age he was. But what I read in his comments, I saw me. I saw myself at that age of 15 where I was about to go one way or the other. And I shared with him a bit of my backstory, and I told him, I said, you might be 1 in 7 billion, but the number that matters the most is that you're one. You see, think about a puzzle. If you have a 1,000-piece puzzle, one piece is missing, you're not going to put that puzzle up on your wall. Let's think about puzzle pieces for a second. Different shapes and different colors, but guys, every single piece is the same size. No piece is more or less important than the other. And when one is missing, something in this world is missing. And I gave him my number, and I told him, call me. I don't care, whenever. So many comments started coming in over the course of those next couple of weeks, and finally, after 2 weeks, he called me. He was a 17-year-old kid. We were on the phone for a couple of hours, and he was crying, I was crying. We were sharing. He said, I can't believe you made a video for me. I can't believe it. My mom couldn't believe it. I said, of course. I said, don't you realize how valuable you are? Do you understand that without you, the world is not complete? Are you going to deny the world of what you could bring into it? Really? Don't you realize it? When a person is at their lowest, they're at their highest potential. You know what the question is, guys? Who's going to get to them first? See, one of the biggest issues that we're facing in today's society is the fact that people don't understand their value and that they matter, that they can influence. You know, it's an interesting word, this word influence. Somebody once came to me and said, Orly, you're an influencer. I looked at them like they're crazy. I said, hold on a second, do you have a pulse? They said, yeah. I said, so then you're an influencer too, no? They said, no, I only have 100 followers on Instagram. I said, oh, so that means that being an influencer is based on metrics? Based on how many people are following us? Really? What are these metrics, guys? How many followers? How many likes? Do you know how insane it is? People actually buy followers. It's the most ridiculous thing in the entire world, but they do. Why are we placing our value on these metrics that mean nothing, that don't tell the world a thing? These are just numbers. If you have a pulse, when you walk around, when you enter a room, it doesn't matter who you are, your title, you impact change just because you are you. That's it. That's truly an influencer. So now let's try and envision a world in which we can empower people to recognize that we're each influencers in our own way. To be able to prevent negative things from coming into fruition, to not only dealing with them once they become a problem, but to prevent them. What a world that would be. I want to share with you one last story. It's from a man named Frederick who wrote a post on my page. And he said, "Hi, Life Fest Inside. My name is Frederick, and I've been through many hard times in the past 8 months. I've experienced crime, drugs, violence, fear, and no love or support at its worst. I may not look like a person who's been through that, but don't judge a book by its cover. I was on Facebook when I saw one of your posts, and it really spoke to me, and I felt that it was the meaning of life. And then I liked your page, and your posts keep making sense to me, and you're really helping me. You taught me to be kind and loving. You taught me to find inner peace. You taught me to forgive people. I'm on the right track again. I have a job now, and I volunteer at a place for homeless kids. I can't thank you enough for helping me out of my previous life. This may not appear like a big deal to you, but you changed someone's life story. You opened the gates to a better future for a human being. You made me happy again. What I learned from you, I'm giving to others. I may just be one of thousands of your followers. You may not have changed the world, but you changed my world. Frederick." On that very day, I was a life vest, a lifeline of kindness for Frederick. But the real question I want to leave all of you with is, who will you go out and become a life vest for? Thank you. Thank you.